もう龍一くん泣いてるのに笑ってしまってとか、いろいろ。なんか本当にお疲れ様っていう気持ちで見てました。
There are moments in sports that make people cry. And then there are moments so deeply personal, so perfectly true to who someone is, that they make even the people closest to them laugh through their tears. That was the moment everyone witnessed when Kaori Sakamoto watched Ryuichi Kihara break down emotionally and admitted, "Even though Ryuichi-kun was crying, I couldn't help but laugh." But she wasn't laughing because it was funny. She wasn't mocking him. She laughed because after spending 7 years beside him on the same ice, she understood exactly what those tears meant. She understood the quiet life hidden behind the medals, the cameras, and the applause. And maybe that is the real story behind Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara. Today, I want to take you deeper into that story. Not just the performances everyone saw, but the ordinary moments no one talks about. The 6-hour drives. The silence inside the car. The trust that slowly formed between two people over years of living, training, struggling, and surviving together. Because sometimes the most powerful proof of trust isn't found on the ice at all. Sometimes it's found in the passenger seat of a moving car. Think about this for a second. Could you fall asleep in someone else's car before the engine even starts? Could you lean your seat all the way back, put on sunglasses, close your eyes, and completely let go while another person takes the wheel for 6 straight hours? Most people can't. Sleeping in a passenger seat is one of the most vulnerable things a person can do. You're handing over complete control. You're trusting someone with your safety, your comfort, and your peace of mind. Yet, that's exactly what Riku Miura did. In a recent variety show, Ryuichi Kihara casually revealed something that completely changed how fans viewed their relationship. He explained that because Riku never had a driver's license, he was always the one driving. Every morning, every practice, every long trip. And during those long drives, Riku would often fall asleep almost immediately. Not after hours on the road. Not after trying to stay awake. Right from the beginning. Before the car even left the parking lot. Kihara laughed while telling the story, joking that he had been holding this frustration in for years. But the way he said it wasn't angry at all. It sounded like the words of someone who had accepted that routine long ago. Someone who had quietly decided, this is just who we are. And honestly, that detail says more about their bond than any interview ever could. When Riku first moved to Canada in 2019 at only 17 years old, she entered a completely unfamiliar world. A new country, a new language, a new training environment. And standing beside her was 26-year-old Ryuichi Kihara, a veteran skater nearly a decade older with far more experience both in competition and in life. In Canada, having a car is practically essential. Without one, daily life becomes difficult. So naturally, Kihara became the driver. He picked her up every day and took her to the rink. But here's the important part. Trust like that doesn't appear overnight. A teenage girl who just moved to another country doesn't instantly feel comfortable enough to fall asleep beside an older teammate before a trip even begins. That level of comfort had to be built slowly, day after day, drive after drive, conversation after conversation, silence after silence. Somewhere along the way, Kihara's car stopped feeling like transportation and started feeling like a safe place. And that's why one line from Kihara stood out so much. He said she naturally fell asleep. Naturally. Not intentionally. Not dramatically. Her body simply relaxed on its own. Because deep down, she no longer felt the need to stay alert. People can't sleep when they feel nervous. They can't truly rest when they feel unsafe. The body never lies about that. So if someone can close their eyes without hesitation while you control the road ahead, it means something deeper than words. It means trust has become instinct. What makes this story even more emotional is the imbalance hidden inside it. Both athletes trained under the same brutal conditions. Both were exhausted. Both pushed their bodies to the limit. Yet while Riku slept, Kihara stayed awake behind the wheel for 6 hours at a time. He never complained seriously. He just kept driving. Riku even tried to defend herself jokingly on the show. She insisted she at least tried to stay awake during the long drives. Kihara immediately laughed and answered, "You can't even last 5 minutes." The exchange sounded playful, but hidden inside it was years of familiarity. She knew she would fall asleep. He knew she would fall asleep. And somehow that had simply become their rhythm. That's what makes their relationship feel so unique. In most ordinary partnerships, someone would apologize repeatedly for behavior like that, or they would force themselves to stay awake out of guilt. But Riku didn't need to pretend around him, and Kihara didn't need perfection from her. Instead, he laughed about it with affection, not because she was flawless, but because he fully understood her imperfections. And maybe that's why Kaori Sakamoto laughed when she saw him crying, because from the outside, Kihara often appears calm, dependable, and composed. The steady one, the responsible one, the person always carrying the emotional weight. But at the retirement press conference, all of that finally broke apart. What's fascinating is that according to Sakamoto, the pair actually looked peaceful immediately after the Olympics. She said they seemed refreshed, satisfied, and completely without regret. They looked like athletes who had already accepted the ending. So, why did Kihara suddenly cry so hard during the official retirement announcement months later? Maybe because the Olympics still felt unreal. The adrenaline was still there. The medals were still shining. But after returning to normal life in Canada, reality slowly started sinking in. The same apartment building, the same car rides, the same drive to the rink. Except now, every ordinary moment carried the quiet knowledge that it would eventually disappear. And perhaps during that press conference, when he finally said the words out loud, "We are retiring," those memories came rushing back all at once. The 6-hour drives, the sleeping passenger seat, the sunglasses, the mornings, the routines, the silent companionship that had become normal after 7 years together. That's why Kaori Sakamoto understood his tears immediately. To her, they weren't surprising at all. They were inevitable. She had watched these two from nearby for years. She knew their rhythm. She knew their personalities. She knew that seeing Ryuichi Kihara cry while Riku Miura smiled beside him somehow felt perfectly like them. And honestly, that may be the most beautiful part of this entire story. One person cries. The other smiles. One person drives. The other sleeps. One remembers the luggage. The other forgets things. Different personalities. Different emotional expressions. Yet somehow the relationship only works because both sides exist together. When fans remember Riku and Ryuichi, they'll remember the medals, the world titles, the Olympic glory, and the history they created for Japanese pair skating. But behind all those achievements were tiny human moments nobody else saw. A 6-hour drive through Canada. A passenger seat reclined before sunrise. A tired skater refusing to wake another person because they knew how exhausted she was. That's the part that makes this story unforgettable. Because in the end, greatness isn't built only through dramatic victories. Sometimes it's built quietly, during long drives when nobody is watching. Sometimes love, trust, and partnership reveal themselves in the smallest routines imaginable.